If war broke out today between the United States and China, what would it actually look like? This isn't about drumming up fear, but about understanding the modern realities of military power. Forget the old images of massive armies clashing on a battlefield. A conflict between these two giants would be fought in entirely new ways, across domains you might not even think of. It would be a battle of technology, economics, and information, with the first shots likely fired silently in cyberspace. So let's start there, the digital battlefield. Before a single missile is launched, both sides would unleash their cyber armies. We're talking about massive attacks aimed at crippling the other's essential infrastructure. Imagine power grids going dark, communication networks collapsing, financial systems freezing, and satellites being blinded. China has invested heavily in its cyber warfare capabilities, often referred to as the Strategic Support Force. Their goal would be to create chaos and confusion, disrupting the U.S. military's ability to command and control its forces. The U.S., with its own formidable cyber command, would retaliate in kind, targeting China's command systems and critical infrastructure. This initial phase would be a shadowy, invisible war, but its effects would be devastatingly real for civilians and soldiers alike. The winner of this digital duel could gain a decisive early advantage. Next, we look to the skies and beyond, to space. Modern militaries are completely dependent on satellites for communication, navigation, and intelligence. GPS, which we all use every day, is a military system. Both the US and China have developed sophisticated anti-satellite weapons, or ASATs. These can be ground-based missiles, co-orbital, killer satellites, or even directed energy weapons. The conflict would quickly extend into orbit, with each side trying to blind the other by taking out their eyes in the sky. Losing satellite capabilities would be like fighting blindfolded. It would severely hamper the ability to guide smart bombs, coordinate troop movements, and gather intelligence. The US currently has a more robust and larger satellite network, but China's capabilities are growing at an astonishing pace. This battle for the high ground of space would be a critical and largely unseen part of the war. Now, let's talk about the more conventional but no less high-tech domains, the sea and the air. The primary flashpoint would likely be in the Indo-Pacific, probably over Taiwan. This is where China's home field advantage comes into play. China has developed a strategy known as anti-access area denial, or A2AD. Think of it as a giant defensive bubble stretching out hundreds of miles from its coast. This bubble is layered with advanced anti-ship ballistic missiles like the DF-21D, often called carrier killers, as well as a massive fleet of submarines, fighter jets, and naval warships. Their goal is to make it incredibly risky and costly for the U.S. Navy, particularly its aircraft carriers, to get close enough to project power. The U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers are the centerpiece of its global military strength. They are floating cities, protected by a fleet of destroyers, cruisers, and submarines. But facing China's A2AD bubble, they would have to operate from much farther away. This is where air power becomes crucial. The U.S. relies on its fifth-generation stealth fighters, the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II, as well as its long-range stealth bomber, the B-2 Spirit. These aircraft are designed to penetrate sophisticated air defenses undetected and strike key targets. The new B-21 Raider is being developed with this exact scenario in mind. China, however, has its own stealth fighter, the J-20, and is rapidly modernizing its air force. An air war over the Pacific would be a clash of the most advanced aviation technology on the planet. A deadly game of cat and mouse between stealth aircraft and sophisticated radar systems. Under the waves, another silent war would be raging. The U.S. has a significant advantage in submarine technology. Its nuclear-powered attack submarines are quieter, more advanced, and have a global reach. They are the ultimate stealth platforms, capable of hunting enemy ships and subs, launching cruise missiles at land targets, and gathering intelligence undetected. They would be a major thorn in the side of the Chinese Navy. China, while having the world's largest navy by number of ships, is still catching up in submarine quietness and overall capability. However, their sheer numbers and operation in home waters would still pose a significant threat. But what about boots on the ground? A large-scale land invasion of mainland China by the U.S. or vice versa is almost unthinkable. The logistical challenges and potential casualties would be astronomical. The ground war would likely be limited to smaller, more specialized engagements. The U.S. Marine Corps has been restructuring itself for this very scenario. shifting from large land campaigns to smaller, more agile units that can operate from islands, seize key maritime terrain, and launch precision strikes. These new marine littoral regiments are designed to be a forward-deployed force, operating inside the enemy's A2AD bubble to disrupt their plans. We also can't ignore the economic dimension. A war between the world's two largest economies would trigger a global economic meltdown. The intricate supply chains that we all depend on would be shattered. China is the world's factory, and the US is the world's largest consumer. Sanctions blockades and the disruption of global trade would have catastrophic effects far beyond the battlefield, impacting every country on Earth. This economic weapon is a powerful deterrent for both sides. The cost of victory, in economic terms, might be indistinguishable from the cost of defeat. Finally, there's the nuclear question. Both the US and China are nuclear powers. While the US has a much larger and more diverse arsenal, China's is growing and modernizing. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, has kept the peace between nuclear powers for decades. The idea is that any nuclear attack would be met with a devastating retaliatory strike, meaning there can be no winner. While a direct nuclear exchange is the least likely scenario, the risk of escalation is always present. A conventional conflict that spirals out of control, where one side feels it's facing an existential defeat, could lead to the unthinkable. This is the ultimate shadow that hangs over any potential conflict. So to sum it up, a war between the US and China today would be a multi-domain conflict, unlike any in history. It would start in cyberspace and space, play out with high-tech ships, planes, and submarines in the Pacific, and cause an economic earthquake across the globe. It would be a clash of advanced technologies, strategic thinking, and national will. The human cost, both directly and indirectly, would be immense. This analysis isn't meant to predict a war, but to highlight the incredible complexity and catastrophic consequences of such a conflict. It's a powerful reminder of why diplomacy, communication, and mutual understanding are more critical than ever. Thank you for watching. If you found this analysis insightful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the topics that shape our world.